Hey everyone, this is Stats Sean. Now that the 2025 MLW season is over, I wanted to deep dive into the upcoming award voting. Over the course of this off-season, I plan on doing an analysis on each award's race, no matter how close it is. Each of these will be presented in a video culminating in how I would vote on this award, not just in the form of picking one winner, but in constructing a full MLB-style ballot. Today, I'll be starting this exercise, appropriately enough, with the Rookie of the Year award. Since the 2025 MLW rookie class was only 8 players, and as of this year, MLB Rookie of the Year voters list 5 names on their ballots, I will be considering the entirety of the class as candidates for the award, which means I will at least touch on the season each of them had, starting with their respective performances at the plate. John Paul Gunn had a very nice offensive season, hitting at an above average clip for both OPS plus and WRC plus. The skill set Gunn demonstrated backs this performance up, as he walked at a rate 12% better than league average and made contact 15% more. The one thing holding him back was poor batted ball luck, as he had only a 333 batting average on balls in play, while the league average was 451. BABIP, especially in a small sample size like Gunn's 31 plate appearances, isn't predictive, meaning next year his will likely be more normal, especially given his speed, boosting his offensive profile as a whole. Overall, through a combination of bad luck and limited availability, Gunn wasn't the most impressive rookie bat in 2025, but still a solid one who projects to have a nice future in the Magic lineup. After having been a nationally known young whiffler for years, Sean Hornberger finally declared for the MLW draft in 2025 and was promptly selected first overall, an honor befitting the most hyped prospect in league history. He struggled to back up this prospect pedigree at first, batting just .071 with a 435 on base and no extra base hits across his first 2 series. Then he jumped on a Jordan Robles fingerball in Slate 3 for his first career homer, and his bat came alive. From the start of Slate 3 through the end of the postseason, Hornberger slashed .292, 500, .833 with 4 home runs, monstrous numbers that rival those of hitters like Ryan Cratched and Landon Urgitis, and prompting Dallas Allen to call him in the Discord the best hitter he had ever faced. His K rate dropped from nearly 50% to a more manageable about 40% during this torrid stretch. On the whole, his stats for the season were comfortably 25 to 30% above average, though his massive post-adjustment success teases that Hornberger's numbers in 2026 will dwarf those from 2025. Among the 2025 draft class, Cole Kwiatkowski was the biggest unknown coming into the season, and pretty much remains one at its conclusion. Caden Irwin touted Kwiatkowski as having once been the best hitter on the WSEM Dream Team, but that was a few years ago, and fast pitch swings don't always translate to MLW. He did hit for a batting average 15% above the league at .269, but with just 1 home run and only 3 walks drawn in 29 plate appearances. This free swinging kept Kwiatkowski's on-base percentage down and strikeout rate high, translating to below replacement level value. I really have no idea what to expect from him going forward, and compared to a deep class, he was the most forgettable rookie from the recently finished season. Brady Pearson, meanwhile, made his relatively similarly free-swinging ways work for him in 2025. Despite being MLW's youngest player, Pearson ended the season as his team's most feared hitter. He tied with Hornberger for the rookie lead with 4 home runs, though Pearson did it in 14 fewer plate appearances. The adjustment period was shorter for him, as he went deep twice in his second career series and hit a walk-off homer in his third. The offensive approach here is reliant on the power, as his walk, strikeout, and contact rates were all worse than league average. But with a player this young, having a standout tool like Pearson's in-game power is enough to bode for a big future. The other skills should come with age and experience, and even in a season largely without them, Pearson was able to post an OPS plus of nearly 130. Evan Porter was essentially a pitcher only in 2025 who just happened to get 9 plate appearances. He did record a hit and 2 walks in that span, and a few other balls in play, but Porter's Rookie of the Year candidacy and season review aren't reliant on his bat, but instead on his arm. The best hitter in this strong field is Dustin Staggs. That's not just a reflection on his 2025 season, though it was excellent. He paced the league with a ludicrous 625 on base percentage, walked 65% more than league average, struck out 100% less, and made 46% more contact. Putting together his rate basis performance and his volume, only Cratched and Urgaitis had more than Staggs' 2.3 batting war among all players. But even if he'd had a disappointing season, Staggs would still be the best hitter in the class. He's a fearsome bat and fast pitch against the best pitchers in the world. Multiple MLW players have described him as having the best batting eye they've ever seen. It's honestly incredible that he managed to produce a season that backed up his reputation, but that's exactly what he did. Going forward, Staggs could be the best hitter in MLW, period. But in 2025, he was clearly at least the best among the rookies. The other side of the reputation and performance comparison is Jake Sullivan IV, who was supposed to be a pitcher only in MLW. Then he hit a walk-off homer against Robles in Slate 1 and stuck in the D-backs lineup through the end of the postseason. And he rewarded his team by being a nice, if not great, bat. He was almost exactly league average by both OPS plus and WRC plus, checking in at 104 and 102 respectively. He reached these marks by making a ton of contact, 27% more than the league, while also swinging pretty regularly. He added a little power to the slap hitting, tallying 3 home runs, but most of his value at the plate came from his 11 singles, tied for the fifth most in MLW. I have no real clue how effective this skill set will be going forward, though Sully's speed and head start from the lefty batter's box should help, but in 2025 it was at least enough to add half a win's worth of value to the Diamondbacks lineup. Aptly ending the hitter breakdowns, Evan Trackman was the Mr. Irrelevant in the 2025 draft. He was taken mainly to be a second arm for the Eagles, but come season's end he looked a lot more like a future lineup piece. The sample size is small, just 25 plate appearances, but he made 57% more contact than league average, meaning that despite middling power and a pedestrian walk rate, Trackman was easily above average at the plate in 2025. He doesn't seem to have the carrying bat to ball skill of Sullivan or the in-game power of Pearson, so Trackman may not profile quite as well as them for 2026. But in 2025 he posted a nice, albeit brief, offensive season. Putting all the batting stats on one table here, highlighting the top three in each with gold, silver, and bronze boxes, I don't think it could possibly be clearer that Staggs is the top of the class. After him, Pearson and Hornberger are the second tier and essentially equal to each other, a little bit ahead of Sullivan IV, Gunn, and Trackman, while Kwiatkowski and Porter make up their own somewhat non-competitive tier compared to the rest. However, all of these players except for Kwiatkowski also pitched in 2025, meaning that that aspect of these seasons should also be outlined before establishing a Rookie of the Year ballot. Gunn didn't pitch much in 2025, making just 3 starts, but when he did, he allowed runs at a 72% higher than league average rate. His struggles were largely due to an inability to miss bats, getting whiffs on only about 36% of swings, compared to 48% for the league as a whole. JPG also walked 7 batters per 3 innings. When you're allowing both free runners and too much contact, the runs come at a high pace. There were flashes, including a 2-hit shutout against the Cobras in Baltimore, but overall Gunn couldn't break replacement level on the carpet last year. There are questions about his rotation spot going forward. I'm not going to be too harsh here since there's needed context, but Hornberger had as rough of a 1-inning pitching season as possible. In his first career start, he dealt with awful weather and a presumably terrible ball, and understandably allowed 8 runs in 2/3 of an inning, including 2 home runs. The next slate, he pitched in relief and struck out the only batter he faced. And that was it for Hornberger's 2025 pitching season. Obviously, there's a huge ceiling here, but the 2025 stats were ugly, though in an excusable way given the circumstances. Hopefully, other Sean gets a chance to show his real pitching ability next season. In his 5 2/3 innings, Pearson showed both control issues and an ability to dominate. In his early season relief appearance and start, he walked 9 batters and recorded just 6 outs, leading to 7 runs scored. Come Slate 5, Pearson was pitching into extra innings against the Mallards, walking only 3 in 3 2/3 innings pitched and recording 8 strikeouts. His stuff is clearly strong, with a slide drop riser mix, though the command was a problem. Much like with his hitting, Pearson having such a strong foundation so young, namely his nasty slide drop, is a sign that his future is bright, though his single good start in 2025 wasn't enough to bring his pitching to replacement level. Despite having some ups and downs, Porter finished 2025 with solid though unspectacular pitching numbers. His heavy dropping stuff and unique low-to-the-ground left-handed release make Porter difficult to hit, as he allowed only a 148 opponent batting average. Yet his control seems to be ball-dependent, leading to more than 2 walks per inning. He ended up essentially alternating very good starts, including a shutout of the Magic in his debut, with blow-ups, notably allowing 7 runs and 11 walks in 2 innings against the Diamondbacks in Slate 5. This all averaged out to Porter's overall run prevention being slightly worse than league average, though he was good enough across a large enough sample of innings to check in above replacement level. And with better ball quality luck or improved adaptability, he's well positioned for a step forward next season. Staggs didn't pitch until a relief outing in the Gators' 14th game of the regular season, but from that point on he reeled off 11 and a third consecutive scoreless innings, and honestly brought himself into down-ballot Cy Young consideration. This span included a 4-inning shutout to clinch a World Series berth, and a 1-hit shutout in Game 3 of the World Series. This streak finally ended with 4 runs allowed in Game 4, but in total 4 runs in 12 and a third innings is less than 1 run per 3 innings, and Staggs' strikeout and walk rates ended up nearly identical to those of Cy Young favorite RJ Walgate. A deceptive hard over-the-top delivery and sidearm slide drop comprise most of Staggs' arsenal, one I've personally faced and had a lot of trouble reading out of hand. Assuming his arm injury from the World Series clears up, Staggs should have a role as the co-ace of the Gators come 2026. No rookie pitcher made a more immediate impact than Sullivan, who in the very first series of the year pitched 4 innings of 1-run ball while striking out 11. He went on to start 2 games in the next slate, allowing 4 runs across 6 innings, to stand at an RA3 of just 1.5 after 2 slates. Unfortunately, the rest of the season didn't go quite as smoothly, as he surrendered 11 runs in 6 2/3 innings, a rate of nearly 5 per 3 innings, while striking out 18 batters against 18 walks. Sully is often considered a ball-dependent pitcher, so the horrible conditions of the series against the Gators likely contributed heavily to this drop-off. At his best, Sullivan looked like a playoff-caliber pitcher, and he was at his best frequently enough to still finish with above average and well above replacement results, being the only rookie pitcher to do so while qualifying for the ERA title. And his nasty drop, slide drop, and rising screw give him the ceiling to be an ace for as long as he's in MLW. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Trackman's rookie season was a mess on the mound. Out of 73 batters faced, he walked 35 of them, meaning nearly half of the plate appearances against him ended in an easy trip to first. Add to that 1.8 home runs allowed per 3 innings, by far the highest rate of any pitcher with double-digit innings pitched, and it's clear why Trackman allowed almost 7 runs per 3, with a FIP over 8. Only about 40% of his total pitches, regardless of result, were in the strike zone, an untenable rate. When in the zone, Trackman did find success at times, including a shutout against the Wildcats, but the frequent walk spurts and homers allowed stuck him well below replacement level, at a rate that would be all but impossible to not improve upon going forward. On a rate basis, it's clear Staggs was the best rookie pitcher, while Sullivan and Porter have the volume advantage. Personally, I consider this run prevention gap to be sufficiently large as to name Staggs the top pitcher, and the WAR backs me up. If you prefer a volume or regular season-based case, though, Sullivan has the edge over Porter, as they're only separated by 2 outs recorded, and Sullivan allowed runs at a lower rate and in a more convincing way, striking out a higher proportion of batters and walking a lower one. As for the rest of the class, the 2 Magic arms were clearly better than Hornberger and Trackman, though I'm inclined to give Hornberger a bit of a pass, and none of this quartet really gets a boost in their candidacy from their pitching anyway. As for the smaller, softer elements of wiffle ball, namely fielding and base running, the only rookie to really make either a positive or negative difference in one of these ways was Staggs on defense. Playing on the left side, he accumulated the second most defensive value, as well as tying for fourth most successful plays made at the position. When adding in his time fielding off the carpet, Staggs placed fifth overall in defensive value in the 2025 season, and his impressive ability to throw runners out at first from the left side positions him to be a Gold Glove candidate both this year and going forward. Putting the run value of each facet of the sport on this chart, it's laughable just how far ahead of everyone else Staggs is. He's the top player in batting, in pitching, and in defense, and for good measure, he tied for third in base running. After him, Sullivan has the most total value by a comfortable margin, about 5 runs better than everyone else. Gunn, Hornberger, Pearson, and Porter are all essentially tied after that, with only roughly a run between the top and bottom in this group, while Kwiatkowski and Trackman sit well behind the other 6. With all of that discussion of seasons and value established, this is how I would vote on a full Rookie of the Year ballot. Dustin Staggs is a layup in the top slot. Honestly, if he had only pitched or only hit, he was so good at both that I would still give him my first place vote, and I might give him my MVP vote when we get to that award. As runner-up, I'm going with Jake Sullivan IV, another pick I consider relatively straightforward. Sully was the only other rookie to be above average on both sides of the ball. After that, the next 4 essentially tied players all played both ways to some extent, but their cases are essentially those of one-way players. When considering them that way, Pearson and Hornberger were both better hitters than Gunn, and were better at the plate than Porter was on the mound, slotting them into my third and fourth spots. I'm choosing to give Pearson my third place vote and Hornberger fourth, because the former did demonstrate some ability to pitch that the latter did not, and their batting is essentially a tie, meriting a tiebreaker, and I'll use the pitching for that. As for my final slot, this is an issue of sample size. Gunn did hit better than Porter pitched, but Porter qualified for the ERA title, whereas Gunn only made it about 2/3 of the way to qualifying for the batting title. I view this added volume of, even though it's slightly below league average pitching, to be more valuable than a lesser sample size of slightly above league average hitting. Although, honestly, the ordering from third through sixth, it's splitting hairs. I chose to do it this way, but I think there could be reasonable arguments for pretty much any order, with the possible exception of putting Gunn over Hornberger. Though I will say, I think any reasonable ballot needs to have Staggs first and Sullivan second.